Hello chess lovers, Suren here, and I have a very interesting game for you played between Viktor Korchnoi and Nigel Short. This was a chess simul played in 1976 in London. Nigel Short first attracted significant media attention and made his first TV appearance as a 10-year-old by defeating Viktor Korchnoi in a simultaneous exhibition in London over 31 boards, where Korchnoi won 26 games, drew 4 and was beaten only by a 10-year-old chess prodigy. In this game, Korchnoi had white pieces and he started with e4, e6 by Short, d4, d5. Nigel Short goes for French defense, an opening which was Korchnoi's favorite as well. Knight d2, Korchnoi goes for Tarrasch variation, a variation which Karpov was choosing against Korchnoi himself. Knight f6, e5, Knight d7, f4, c5. Black is starting to target the pawn on d4 square, a basic idea in French defense, and b6. In his book Nigel Short's Chess Skills, Short calls this move as an unusual and not particularly good move. Then he adds that at the age of 10 he did not study much theory. Instead of playing b6, queen b6 or playing c4 are considered to be the best moves, but in the game we see b6, bishop b5, queen c7, protecting the knight, knight e2, bishop e7, and white castles kingside. Well, instead of castling kingside, playing f5 could give white better chances, and Black should be very careful because e takes f5 can be met with knight f4, both attacking the pawn, also preparing e6. But instead, after bishop e7, we see this calm castling kingside. Bishop b7, bishop e3. Again, it was not too late to go for this f5 move. If e takes f5, then knight f4, and again white is creating too many problems for black. If knight d8, then e6 can be very unpleasant, but after bishop b7, bishop e3 was played, Korchnoi is still developing his pieces, not hurrying. h6, knight g3 and g6. White lost a precious time, and now with this g6 move, black is taking under control this f5 square, not allowing any possible f5 moves. b3, a6, bishop d3, knight a5, bishop c2 h5, knight h1. Both players are still maneuvering. Rook c8, knight f2, knight f8, rook c1, c takes d4, bishop takes d4, and seeing that this knight is doing nothing on a5 square, the knight retreats back, bishop d3, and again the knight goes back on d7 square, queen d2, knight c5, bishop b1. White wants to keep alive his light square bishop, which is eyeing on black's king side, knight a5 and knight g5. Korchnoi is allowing knight takes b3. Well, actually it was better to act against that threat and play, for example, queen e2, and in that case this knight looks somehow misplaced. But instead we see knight g5, and now Short goes for this knight takes b3 move. Black is trading two knights for a rook and two pawns and is creating a very strong passed pawn on a file. a takes b3, knight takes b3, queen e3, knight takes c1, rook takes c1, bishop c5, knight f3, and the a pawn marches forward. Bishop c2, bishop a6. Gradually black's position is getting better. Now this bishop looks very active on a6 square, knight h3. Meanwhile, Korchnoi is still horsing around. b5, bishop d3, queen b6, knight g5 and a4, rook a1, king e7, king f2. Looks like that both players are getting ready for the endgame. Bishop takes d4 and queen takes d4. Looks like that this queen takes d4 is the logical continuation of king f2, but actually the exchange of queens favors only black. It was better to capture on d4 with the knight, and of course the pawn can't be captured because of this knight f5 check, and black is losing his queen. But instead, after bishop takes d4, we see queen takes d4, and then we see the exchange of queens on d4 square. Rook takes c3, and in return Korchnoi is winning the pawn on b5 square. Bishop takes b5, knight takes b5, rook c2 check, king g3, and now comes the second rook, rook b8, knight d4, rook c4, knight f3, rook b4. Now black rooks together with this a pawn will start creating too many problems for white. Knight e2, rook e4, knight c3. White is allowing black to win the pawn on f4, though if a move like rook a2 then after a3, again white is facing serious problems. Though of course this is a better line for white. Instead after rook e4 we see knight c3, and now black is also winning the pawn on f4. Knight a2, rook g4, check king h3, rook c4, rook b1, rook c2. White is simply waiting for his death. Rook b7, check king f8, knight b4, and after rook takes g2. Finally, after a tense battle which lasted 9 hours, Korchnoi resigned. Of course his position is hopeless. I'm sure he was extremely tired and he admitted his defeat. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave your comments, and for more games don't forget to subscribe to my channel.